there. Some will be there later. I'm fine. I'm going to church in next maybe 40 minutes. And I hope that we'll have a blessed day. Jesus Christ really suffered for our sins, and therefore we should always remember to appreciate the Sabbath day. So guys, before I went to church, I had planned to do this live stream, though I'm late. Forgive me for that. Thank you. Welcome to the platform. Subscribe to my channel, like my video, and share. You can also encourage your friends to keep watching this, because we are into the political journey. We are also exploring crime and many other things. And as we always say, in Kenya, masaa ni machache, kazi ni nyingi. Yeah, this is a say we use because in our economy we've not yet been used to 24-hour work program, and therefore sometimes our time is limited, right? Yeah, so welcome on board. If you come by, you can chat, you can actually appreciate what we're doing, and never be disappointed in any way. So guys, you heard last week that our president is targeting to build a church, right? He wants to build a church in the State House grounds, and that has drawn a lot of reactions from the legal, other pastors, in the religious leaders. We've seen political leaders, especially the opposition, coming up with challenges, and even us as citizens, we are really asking questions because we don't understand, and we are yet to see any place where a church has been built. Now, the argument of RUTO was that he found a Mabati church in the State House, and therefore when he decides to build this, he's using his money. Now, many people, of course, are arguing against this choice, because what if he said, I used my money, therefore it must be returned by the government later? What if a president is a Muslim now? Open the door so that he goes away. All right. So let's start from the where he actually stated this, and his response to what people are saying. Then we can go back to the reactions that people are giving. Here it is.
After President William Ruto defended his decision to construct a Kenya shilling 1.2 billion church at State House in Nairobi and insisted he has no apologies to make, despite growing public concern, divided opinions have emerged. Many Kenyans questioning why the president would proceed with such an expensive religious project on public land.
Yeah, so many people are questioning his plan, because now this is a very large project and that's public land. Why would somebody really invest 1.5 million in a church? Is he planning to be here forever? Is it even a church, or we call it madhabahu? What is it exactly that he's doing, you know? Some people are asking, what if the president builds this church, then later on we have a president who is a Muslim? Because our country is not actually inclined to religious aspects. Anybody can be a president. What if an Indian comes again another year? So what will happen? So let's get to this again.
New building. There is a structure that already exists. Two, it is to give him and the people in state who work in the State House and live there an opportunity to find a decent place to pray in.
A spot check by Citizen TV found out that State House is surrounded by over 10 churches. The nearest is AIC Milimani, less than a kilometer away, followed by Nairobi Central SDA Church and the Orthodox Patriarchal Cathedral of St. Cosmas and Damen along Valley Road. Within a 2-kilometer radius, there are 10 churches, including All Saints Cathedral, Sitam Valley.
Yeah, so guys, when somebody came to defend the president that the church was supposed to give those people who are within the State House a decent place for, for worshiping, there was a challenge because citizens went about and they found that there are about 10 churches surrounding the place, including Catholic, AIC, and the rest of them. Of course, if you understand where a state house is, you know what it's unraveling. So the question was then, if all these churches are there and they can offer decent, worshipping. We've always seen the president going around, and in fact, he's not supposed to be always going to one kind of church, being a president, we've seen him walking around the country, and on most Sundays, he's not even around State House. And so people began to really question. And we saw a lot of backlash from the opposition. Let's see this building that they are talking about. All right.
With no official religion.
That gift has to be given to the controller of State House, and we'll declare it and release it to the exchequer. That will determine how it's supposed to be used. So the principle is not that people are against building of a church. People are against misappropriating public resources, in this particular case being the piece of land which is State House.
Lawyers clarifying that while RUTO says the church will be funded personally, donations to public offices must be declared formally with a public decision made on how they'll be used.
And a decision will be made on how that donation can be applied towards a public good.
Yeah, so of course, when the president had people complaining or asking questions, then he said that he's using his money as a donation. And of course, being our country that people are informed, people wanted to know if it's a donation, why couldn't he really just clearly indicate? Celestina's World fan number 1, disgusting. Are you disgusted about what I'm saying or what is happening? Oh, welcome on board. Yeah, so people wanted to know that if indeed the president has goodwill to build a church, then he has to allow the citizens to come in, discuss, and see how the donation will be used, right? But there was no such discussion. They just found the president having declared, and in fact saying, regardless of their arguments, he will go ahead. So Celestina's World, welcome on board. You just typed disgusting, and I don't know whether you are disgusted by the topic, whatever is happening, or by what I'm saying. So let's go on with the mixed reactions. Of course, remember the country has a different religion. We know very well that we have the Catholics, we have the Protestants, the rest of the churches, we have the Muslims, we have the Indian. Yeah. So when he builds this church, will it accommodate all the religions so that in case another president of different religious classification comes, then he goes in? Now, remember, the opposition does not sleep. Mother Karua, for example, came up with a statement. Let's just check what she says here. This is what Mother Karua had to say on this.
In sight. Na lazima tukomeshe. Lazima tukomeshe. Na nikimalizia kabisa niseme hiyo mambo ya kujenga kanisa State House si shamba lako. Enda ujenge kwako Karen, jenga kwako Tugoi, enda kwa kila kanisa iko na Harambee wajenge. Na hiyo ya Kiambaa iko karibu na wewe, iko kwa hiyo area yako, anza na hiyo. Vile unawacha kanisa ya Kiambaa na unaenda kwa zingine, inatuambia story yako wewe. It tells a story about you.
Now, guys, you heard that backlash, right? Mother Karua stood, and this is what she had to say. She had to remind the president that the State House land, piece of land, is public land. And if it's public land, even if he's using his money, why should he go and build a church in this land? Has he engaged the rest of the public and heard what they have to say? Has he engaged even the opposition? Because a government does not, a government is there for a season, whether it's 1 term or 2 terms. And later on we'll have others coming in. So why should the present or the current government believe that they have the right to go build a church here? So you've heard what Mother Karua says. Mother Karua is saying that State House is not Ruto's land. And therefore, if he wants to build, let him go build elsewhere. Now, many people were humorously saying that people started questioning the contribution of Harambee money to churches. And that is why Ruto had to decide to do this. Now, I want to remind you, there is a battle that really happened at the beginning of the year with people telling Ruto to stop using public money in church. And he came about, said it's his money. And in fact, we have so many people who have money and they don't give to the church. Yeah. So let's reason here. Did they stop him legally to give money to the churches? I did not see any, excuse me. I did not see any kind of specific rules or rather legal proceeding that stopped him from contributing money to churches, right? Yeah. So let's look at this video, for example. Welcome on board. I can see about 2 people. You can chat. 5 people now. Yeah. So we saw a lot of, that was about March, when people are saying that Ruto should not do the Harambees in churches. And of course, we saw some, even last year, we saw some of the bishops who rejected his money. Now, why did they reject? You know, that is the question. Why did they reject? Some were rejecting because they were saying, he is taking that money there, but people are suffering. So he better uses that money to promote growth. So let's look at this one. It is a Catholic bishop who rejected. Let's look at this one here.
Hi everyone and welcome to Fanya Mama
Wife, so that if I'm called to be a pastor, even my automatically was called to be a pastor. Then we put if the husband dies, then the church dies, or if the wife
church
dies.
Dad and Mom.
No, that kind of church is not church. I mean, we can't take that kind of church seriously. The Catholic Church is an institution in itself. Remember, these people run more than 7,400 schools in this country. 31% of education institutions in this country are run and owned by the Catholic Church. 31% means a 31% failure on the part of government to provide education, because that is their job. The Catholic Church has about 69 hospitals. They have about 117 dispensaries. They have health centers. They have, in total, they earn almost to 1,000 health providers.
Actually, more than 1,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you start taking those people for granted, and you know, the Catholic Church is not making noise because they hate Ruto. No. Something needs to be clear. When you run 7,000 schools, and there was a government that was giving capitation to schools, and now you are faced with the ugly spectacle of a church having to send children home because it is impossible to run the school without funds. I mean, these children must eat. These children must have electricity in school. So I saw schools in Mount Kenya region where now they are being taken to court for non-payment, or if you've not paid for maize that was supplied, you've not paid for rice that was supplied. And the Sudis are trying to profile bishops. That has failed. The second thing they wanted to do is, now the money that has been stolen, because this is stolen money, how do you become Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya? And before you earn your first salary, which is about $1 million, you come and donate 2 million.
2 million.
That's the irony. So what we need to do, and I have said it very clearly, is to tell these politicians that you will not be allowed to spend corruption money in a church.
Which is very good.
And people will not clap for you for putting corruption money into a church basket.
And this
when we hammer that narrative, they are done.
It will end. And
Yeah, so guys, I just brought
the
this
Catholic Church
interview to you
again.
because
No,
people
it's not
really
just
had a lot of discussion around the money that the president and the rest of the leaders were donating around. And you saw people like Oscar Sudi, Farouk, and the rest of them moving around the country and giving to churches. And of course, some other churches received, but the Catholic Church, rejected. After that, there was a lot of kind of a hostile environment between the government and the Catholic Church in some one way or the other. Now, you actually have heard how the bishop there is arguing, indicating that they rejected that money because in one way, we had a lot of people who were being sent away for fee. Students who are, who could not pay fee, schools which could not operate at that time. Yet, capitation had not been released. On the other hand, a president or rather a vice president who has just stepped in an office without even the first salary of 1 million could be in a position to donate 2 million. So he's saying that was ironical and therefore, Annabelle and T, what are you doing? Please behave, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So it happened that it was quite a situation that was not very clear, People could not understand how the leaders are getting this money. Very big chunks of money, like 1 million just to donate in one church. And yet a salary for these people was maybe 1 million or 2 million to donate in a church. Yet the salary is 1 million. So with that, there was this confrontation or rather rejection from the Catholic Church, right? So let's see another expose here. Now, I don't know how you feel about this decision that is going to be made. And of course, knowing the president of Kenya, he may not listen to anyone unless we have external intervention. Because any architecture within the State House, I thought it was supposed to be an aspect that is even involving international, intervention. The other thing I thought is, what is the role of the State House, And when I looked into the role of the State House in any country, yes, I wondered whether it becomes someone's house, because indeed the family of the president or whoever it is relocates to this place. But what is the primary role of the State House? And I thought that it serves as an official residence, of course, under the office of the president. The office, mark you, a location where various state functions, including reception of visiting dignitaries, National Day celebrations, will happen to be. And beyond the physical presence, I thought that State House plays the role in an organization and coordinating of government businesses, policy reformation and review. So I did not see anything to do with religious matters here. I did not. Maybe somebody can make me understand. But up to that point, I saw that the State House is actually an office and it serves as a national, a kind of symbol representing the national duty. So then up to now, I've not understood why the president is choosing to build a church within this place. And if he builds, okay, because a church is supposed to, when we look at the part whereby we were saying that Kenya has too many churches and that they have to be reduced. You remember, that was Raila Odinga saying, then the wife said something and people were like, okay, are you fighting the church? We saw also the fact of vetting coming out. So now when the State House owns a church, I do not know, because I'm yet to understand any country which has done the same. Maybe if you are watching and you have any information of that sort, you may let us know. So I went further to listen to what now, apart from Mother Karua, of course, we had a backlash from GACHAGUA. GACHAGUA saying something here. So let's check on what he said.
Si ile kanisa
ilichomwa pale Kiambaa pamoja na watoto wajenge hiyo kwanza kabla kujenga hii State House.
On July 5th, 2025.
You've heard it, and it's not the only one he's saying that, because Martha Karua has said the same statement. If you heard it, you heard it, right? Now let's see whether Kalonzo Musyoka said something on the same. I'm just trying to check on what he might have said.
GACHAGUA seized the moment to challenge Ruto's priorities.
We don't have a problem if you like building churches. But since 2007, why don't you get a part of that 1.2 billion and go and rebuild the KIAMBAA church that was touched with our children inside? And then kutoka hapo tuweze kuendelea.
His words were a direct job at...
You heard that, right? You heard that. What do you feel about that? Do you think that's a right, you know? It's factual. Yeah. So far we understand that since the fall, or rather the division between GACHAGUA and RUTO, there's been a lot of, you know, unraveling of secrets here and there that we didn't know. Now, this one is different from that. Now, let's remember how it happened in KIAMBAA. What exactly happened?
Children who had sought refuge there. The incident...
Now, remember, it was a post-election situation whereby some kids had, you know, got into that church with their parents. And this is what happened in that year.
Part of the violence that claimed over 1,000 lives was linked to ethnic tensions and remains a sensitive issue. GACHAGUA's reference to KIAMBAA was not just rhetorical. It was a reminder of unresolved pain, especially in the Rift Valley and among the Mount Kenya community who feel betrayed by Ruto's leadership.
As a community, we are in trouble and we are at crossroads. My mother here had warned me.
Now, guys, politics is a funny thing. And sometimes, when it comes to what you're doing, you have to look back. Now, looking back, you realize that reference to KIAMBAA by both Martha Karua, because you heard Martha Karua saying it. If I can replay it, it's okay again. And GACHAGUA has referred to it. All of us who, by that time, you at least were listening to the stories or narrations of political violence. That was the saddening story in the entire Kenyan politics. And they refer to it and pin it to Ruto because of how he had played his politics in Uasin Gishu, telling people what to do, kuondoa madoadoa and all that. Now, when now GACHAGUA and Martha Karua and anyone else refers to this, it is a narrative that is setting a different journey now, just beyond the building of the church and trying to pull back the president into the dirty aspects that maybe people had forgotten. So it is not just an aspect of telling him about church building now and misappropriation of funds, but it now reminds people of the pains that had gone, right? So let's hear Martha Karua again here.
Ni nini inakufanya usikaribie kanisa ya KIAMBAA? You are confessing something we already know. So mimi nasema tusichanganye mambo ya serikali na mambo ya binafsi. Mali yako tumia vile unataka. Mali ya umma usitumie kama ni yako. Na hiyo ni kazi yetu kama wanasiasa na lazima tuiendeleze. Na tutaiendeleza kwa njia ya taratibu, ndivyo tukomboe nchi yetu, na Mungu atusaidie. Mungu asaidie familia ya Mama Gladys.
All right. So you heard that, right? I don't know whether this narrative will turn and let the president now stop what he's planning to do. He diverts that money elsewhere. Now remember, there are so many projects, right? Even if they are churches, again, we have so many churches that still want to be constructed. And I always feel that sometimes, how is it even necessary that the leaders go telling us that I've donated this money? Can they just do silently donate, if it's 1 billion, million, to a certain church silently so that we don't hear about it, because when they donate and announce, it becomes a strategy. You know, recently we were talking about this CDF thing. That money is tax money. But whenever it's given in a given county, you see parading. Like recently it was West Pokot. They parade students. They have to list how many schools have been given, how many students, how much money, as a campaign strategy. Unfortunately, as a campaign strategy, yet this is money that has come from our pockets, the civil servants, the people who buy things on the roads, you know, all that. So you wonder why we have reduced ourselves in Kenya in a way that we use public money or public projects to announce our dynasty. That is the question I'll leave you with. Otherwise, have a happy Sunday. But I don't know whether you feel that this is completely out of order, or you feel that it is just okay. Because, of course, the president is like, I'm going to do it. I wish I got another video whereby the president is saying that he will do it. Let me see this one here. I want to get where he speaks to defend his decision.
President William Ruto now... How a public office...
Reactions with many questions. The existing structures are deserving faith. Billion shillings was indeed under construction and was meant to give the existing structures a deserving facelift.
So currently this is the existing structure in the State House. Here. This is the existing structure that is going to upgrade.
The existing structures are deserving facelift.
Ni kweli, mimi najenga kanisa hapa State House. Ninyi mnanielewa? Hapa State House nilikuja nikakuta kanisa ya mabati. Kanisa ya mabati inatoshana na State House.
President Ruto, who has fashioned himself as a pious, staunch Christian, adding that he was footing the bill for the entire construction.
Na haitagharimu serikali ya Kenya peni moja. Nitajenga na pesa zangu kwa sababu kanisa ya Mungu ni mahali ambapo panatoshana na heshima.
While defending the construction, State House released these photos of what it says is the current deplorable condition of the place of worship, emphasizing...
So inside the State House, the current structure, this is what is there. So I want you to think whether you feel like his decision is right. This is the inside, right?
The 8,000 capacity cathedral-like state-of-the-art church is expected to have a fuse of modern and classical architecture with massive pillars that are already showing up next to State House Nairobi, which is also under construction.
I have no apologies to make. Kwa kujenga kanisa, I have no apology. Mnanielewa? Na hakuna mtu nitaomba msamaha. Kwa kujenga kanisa, tutajenga kanisa ya Mungu. Shetani akasirike, afanye ile anataka.
The architectural designs also show that the
So you heard him. That is the president. He defended it, saying that he has no apologies. He's going to use his money, and he's already doing it. Because he thinks that the status of that church, that is the structure that is found, the Mabati structure, is not worth State House. Now, the question is not whether he's going to construct or not. The question is, why public land? And will he let it be even in future? And what if another leader comes and he's from a different religion? That was the question. So I don't know. As discussions go by in the country, what will unravel? And he has said he has no apologies, will not stop it. He's using his money. No penny will be used from the government kitty. He has also said that if Satan wants to be annoyed. Now, when you look at that metaphor, he's trying to prove that those who are talking against it are Satan. Whether you are a citizen Gachagua, Mother Karua, or any other person that is against it, it is Satan who is getting annoyed with what he's doing. And for him, having defined himself from the beginning as a staunch Christian who has always gone to different churches, dressing differently, and doing what he has to do, he is saying he will continue, that reggae will continue, the reggae of building church will continue. So let's await what will unravel. And I wonder if there is any power in anyone to stop this. Yeah, otherwise, have a nice Sunday. Let's meet again later in another video, or rather live stream that will go on. Thank you for supporting me. I saw people kept coming. Only Celestine chatted, so I did not know the names of the rest. But God bless you. May your endeavors be successful and your dreams come to be true. Adios.